that good? Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you again, Alex. First of all, thank you to everyone that's here on a beautiful sunny Tuesday. We know that there is a lot of work to do in Chicago to prepare young people to graduate from college, to make it to and through. So the fact that you've found time in your hectic schedules to join us today for the launch of the To and Through tool is greatly appreciated. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you again to give a huge round of applause to the UEI team for this morning's launch. My name is Shane Evans. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the University of Chicago Charter School. And while there are a lot of very important people in this room, you're now actually at the VIP session of this performance today, because we've got the people who are really going to tell us about how to get young people to and through college, which is people who are doing that work right now. So I'm going to take some time to introduce our panelists. We've got some questions, and we're hopeful that we're going to get some really good insight. Okay, to my left actually, is Jessica Vargas. Ms. Vargas is currently a senior at Washington High School. She's in the IB program, and she's going through the posse process right now. Can we give her a hand? To my right is Selena Torres. Selena is a graduate of Schurz. She's a Northwest Sider. She just finished up at Truman with her associates, has been accepted to University of Illinois Chicago, and is also thinking about going to University of Illinois Urbana to study electrical engineering. This young man to my left is a man-child. I have known this young man since spring 2009. He is a UCW alum. He's a graduate of University of Chicago Charter School Woodlawn Campus, 2010. He's a graduate of Oberlin College, and he's currently in his second year of an MFA program at the School of the Art Institute, Mr. Mark Blanchard. Jessica, first question is for you. As you're going through the college selection process right now, what's some of the most useful information that you've gotten?
The useful information, well, right now during my school, there's a lot of support that we have from our counselors from there. I know as soon as like the first week of school, there was a lot of fear, especially with the seniors, like, okay, we're seniors now, yes, we're the top of the school now. But we have to start applying to colleges and focus about our grades. And then colleges, we have to start applying. So I think the main focus that we have right now, some of the most helpful insight is our counselors. They've been coming to us, they're like, hey, this is how we use Naviance, this is what you guys should start doing now. Just building our confidence, because in the end, the most difficult part that I've been having right now, my college selection process, is the confidence. I want to go to this school and that school and all these prestigious schools, but then it's a matter of fact of hitting the submit button, feeling confident, this is who I am, this is what I'm gonna apply for. And right now in our senior class, we're building that confidence one way or another through the scholarships from College Greenlight, using College Board. We've always been supported and trying to get accustomed to going to college and having that as an expectation.
So you guys can go ahead and just follow Jessica's roadmap from now on about how to get ready for college. I mean, right? Did it sound like she was a high school senior, or did it sound like she was a high school administrator, right? Getting the class of 2017 ready for school. That says a lot about this young lady. Obviously, it also says a lot about the work being done at Washington High School. And I think I saw Kevin here earlier. So kudos to Kevin and his team. On confidence, I had a brief chance to talk to Selena earlier, just now actually, and you mentioned confidence, coming into your post-high school plans. You want to speak on that a little bit?
Yes. So I graduated high school as valedictorian of my class. But because I didn't feel I was good enough or I was confident, I decided to take a year off. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I did not want to put my parents in peril because I knew that they did not have enough money to put me through college. So I took that year, I researched, I asked people, I worked, and I finally decided to go back to community college to get a degree because I knew that it was affordable and I knew that I would find a community feeling, which is something that I was missing in high school. I knew I was doing it all alone by myself. And today, when I was hearing one of the speakers, and they said in the end, they'll end up taking it by themselves. Or the burden of having to do everything by themselves. And that's what I did. I ended up doing everything by myself. learning FAFSA, asking people for help, but now I'm here though. And I'm very excited to share this story because I know that it will inspire young people to do it, because I was very scared to press that button. I was very scared that I wasn't going to be the best at what I was going to be, because I was told every single day in high school with other people that I was going to work after high school, that I wasn't going to get a degree, that I was going to be a mom, right? But today, that's not my story. Today, it completely changed. And I have a lot of people to thank for that. In part, a lot of data-driven stuff. If I didn't have metrics to back up everything I've done in my life, I don't think I would have gotten here. 1 Million Degrees is a program that kept me accountable in college, professionally, academically, spiritually, and a lot more that I can't really tell you right now. But that's the side of accountability. That's the side of inspiring people through stories. That's the side that I would love to show people like Jessica, students like Jessica, and that one day I would love to sit in your chairs and tell students like me that it was possible, and it is possible. It's not impossible. And but that was my story, and this is my story. If you have any questions on that, I'd be glad to answer.
Yeah. Yeah. So at the University of Chicago Charter School, we talk about preparing our kids, 100% of our young people, for acceptance to, but graduation from college. But that college is actually a means to an end, because what we're actually after is producing culturally aware critical thinkers and leaders that have agency. And so it's very clear, right, this morning that the young people on this stage and this panel have a whole lot of agency. And so that's also the importance of To and Through, right? You're looking at 3 of the next generation's leaders. We have to make sure they get through college prepared to then lead the way that they're supposed to do so. On that sense of confidence, Mr. Blanchard, you've now navigated, right, high school from the south side of Chicago, from Woodlawn, to Oberlin College, and at a place that necessarily doesn't look like you. Can you talk about that confidence that you had to have, and maybe how you built it to succeed in a place that, wasn't necessarily familiar?
Talking about confidence. Well, I think that really for all of us, the positions that all of us are in are enabled through our communities that we exist in. And a part of the confidence that I have was encouraged and supported through the community. So, I left my home base, my comfort zone, the city of Chicago. I went to Oberlin College. There I faced a lot of challenges that were new to me, things that I was not familiar with. And what brought me through that was the community. It was the students who were experiencing the same things, and we could share ideas with each other. It was the faculty who would invite me to their homes for dinner, and they would ask about how I'm doing, not only in their classes, but the other classes. It was reaching out to other faculty members. So, I talked about the professors, but reaching out to the dean, the president, being an active part of that community. And when you support a community supports you. And so it's not so much I'm confident, it's we're confident, And I think that confidence sometimes, it brings us to this place where we're working ourselves up for success, right? I think this is kind of how we think about confidence. But I think that really a part of working up to that success is welcoming the failure that comes first. Yeah. Failure will come first. And it's not something to be afraid of. Welcome it, because before you learn to walk, you fall.
Well said. Yeah, that response wasn't on the script, on the proposal, So, on that note, on being willing to face failure, right, and really look at huge challenges and obstacles.
Right.
Jessica, either for you or your colleagues, your peers at Washington, what are some of the really big fears that you have, going into this process?
It was funny because in the first week of school, I think our teacher, he felt the fear, that he felt the tension the first day of school, like, what are we supposed to do next? We all made a list of our fears. We all went around, like, what's your biggest fear for the school years as seniors? And a lot of it was like, I want to get into my top choice school, or I don't know if I can afford it, or I don't know if my GPA and my ACT are high enough. I don't even know how to start the college application process because it's a scary process. It's very stressful to do supplement essays, make sure your GPA, get your transcript, talk to your counselors, while still managing sports, clubs, any responsibilities that you have at home. Some students even work. So I think right there, the hardest part of it is just being like emotionally prepared to go through the process, because most of the students in my school, we're first generation, we're all low income, and sort of our parents don't really know about the process. So typically we are alone in this. As Selena mentioned, yes, we have, part of the problem that we have with us is like the communication with our families, because I'm going through the process. I researched schools, and my parents are like, oh, so are you leaving? I'm just like, well, I'm still researching, yeah. And it sort of forms a disconnection between my parents, because it's sort of, I know you can't afford to pay for college, but I'll figure something out, because I don't want to really put a burden on them like Selena. Like, don't worry, I know you already have a lot on your plate. I got this. From there. And that's typically the sorts of, like, all of our students, really,
Right.
you can say.
It makes me think when you say that, Jessica, like, we've got 200 people in the audience right
Right.
now. And many of these people also represent programs or partnerships that are all about helping support young people make it to and through college. You found your way into finding these programs, right? We talked about Posse, we talked about 1 Million Degrees. Somehow Mark met the president of Oberlin College within a couple of months.
Like, somehow.
Right? I mean, who does that? So, it's like, I think I got kicked off of his lawn at University of Illinois one time protesting. That's the closest I got to President Stan Eikenberry. We were against the, all right, I'm digressing. So what would you recommend to the people in the audience? How do we make sure that these powerful programs reach more of your peers, right? How do we communicate what's available, what the offerings are to a larger group of young people? Selena?
Really good marketing, in a nutshell. So I'm gonna use 1 Million Degrees because they changed my life. So I heard about 1 Million Degrees through ear, and through example. I met this one student, actually two, but I'll talk about Edgar Mejia, because he's at U of I, and actually right now, I don't know if he's in Paris or somewhere else in Switzerland. He came from poverty, and he came here with nothing, and he went through ESL, he graduated, community college, and now he's at U of I, living the dream. But he told me everything that 1 Million Degrees did for him. I heard his story, I heard his voice. He inspired me. And then I saw someone else, and he inspired me. And then today, I was speaking to someone on the phone, and I told him my story. And I was like, you know what, 1 Million Degrees is doing this for me. This program is doing this for me. And that is the most powerful marketing tool that you will ever have, I think. Because not only are you connecting that program to them, but you're connecting them with a metaphor, with an analogy, with a story, with a goal. Not just, oh, I'll offer you this, this, and this if you do this. It's more than that. It's complicated, just like everyone's lives are. And I think that's how I think you would reach more students. And that's how 1 Million Degrees has scaled to what it is right now. And I hope that one day I can become a coach for them, so I can inspire someone who didn't see someone like me growing up. So.
You're hired.
Thank you.
Paige, go ahead and just, get her on the payroll now. I mean, we'll figure everything else out after that. 2-3 wants a small percentage. We're just we're kidding. We're kidding. Sorry. All right. So, Mark, how did you find programs at Oberlin? Right? You have well, since I've known you, you've been a connector and someone who had his own agency, but at the same time, there were still supports there. How did you find them, and how should other students at colleges that have maybe smaller percentages of Black and brown students, how should they find supports?
That's sort of a logistic question. So I would just say, I guess I'll speak from personal experience.
Yep, sure.
Although I think most colleges have this,
Okay.
but at my college, they had different systems of support. They had different fairs where they would show student groups that were on campus. There were resource centers that you could go to. Different professors would talk about events. And I think like if you're going through with a program like Posse, you're already coming into a community, into that space that has a lot of ideas of like how to become a part of the community and how you see fit. Am I answering the question?
You are.
Okay.
You are.
And then really you just kind of riff. So like you try one thing, and then you see how you like it, you finish a project, you stay and start a new project there, you start a project in a different place. You learn from experience.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. Last question for each of you. Like, this is your final word.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is it. This is
$1
like
million question.
This is the $1 million question.
Okay, $1 million question.
So, again, everybody here, 100% of these people in this room, they're interested in seeing Chicago's college graduation rate go from 18 to 36 to 54 to 72 to 90 to 108. Okay, all right. Seeing if you were keeping track. So they want to see us double that and triple it. What's the one thing that you would tell this group and a larger audience that we need to do to improve college graduation in Chicago for students? Jessica.
One thing. I have to say, build the morale of the students. Have faith in them. Since the beginning, since freshman year, make college like a norm. Like I remember my freshman year, college was so far away. I was like, I want to survive high school, and then I'll think about college. But it's not. You have to start since the beginning, since like day one of first day of school. Hey, you guys are here to high school, but only to prepare you for college, not to make, here's your high school diploma, you have, that's it. No, make it like a norm. Give them confidence in all the students, whether they have the right GPA, the ACT, all of them, because in the end, we all want all students in Chicago to succeed. So you have to get every single student to make that atmosphere, give them really the confidence, because in the end, they're gonna be the ones hitting the submit button. That's usually, for me right now, it's the scariest part. So it's really just the conversation that we were having with Selena, really, it was, I forgot the word we were using, instead of holding their hand to.
Held them accountable.
Held them accountable. That way, they know what they're doing wrong. They know how to do things right, to form them to the adults that we need right now.
It's a great answer.
Thank you.
Jessica, you kind of spoke on something we talk about, like a belief gap, that sometimes young people may not have the belief in themselves. And so, audience members is a clear call out to make sure that we're building the sense of agency and belief in our young people, that they're supposed to go to college, that they're not supposed to be the exception, but the actual expectation. Mark, one piece of advice for us.
First, I think that this audience should be much bigger. I think that I think that our community should be much bigger, and I think that I asked the question, is it too much to ask a small group to save the world, right? And how can we put this responsibility into more people's hands? How can we put that responsibility into our own, the people who receive that hands as well? And so I think that, that all of you are well beyond this step, but I think that a good place to start is to think about, how can I help one person? How can I help one student? And then grow from there. But yeah, I think that my main suggestion is just, we need more people.
Okay, people, you heard that. Get on Instagram.
Invite your friends.
Right?
Exactly.
More people.
Get your Facebook stuff together and start getting more people involved in this. And we say that lightly, but we actually don't say it lightly. I mean, because there are 200 people in the room, and if we're going to solve this, we do need 2,000, or 20,000. And so that's a real comment, so it's just well said, Mark. Okay, all right.
How do
Selena?
I follow up?
Right.
I've said it before, but I think it's just sharing what you do with people who need to hear it, and finding those organizations that, or with the students that need that. And so I think what I saw from people that are sitting in your place right now, that I needed to hear, was to tell me that I was good enough, right? That I could do it, to show that it was possible. And that stemmed from being vulnerable, because vulnerable is something very hard to do with someone you're not comfortable doing it with, right? It's uncomfortable, it's out of your comfort zone. But if you reach outside of that comfort zone and you actually tell your story and share that story with someone else, it will go viral on Facebook first, one. But that puts the word out. That makes a precedent. That shows someone else that it's possible. And I think it's the most powerful thing, because you inspire others, right? And then once someone else sees that you're accountable for what you're doing, you lead by example, then someone else will see it. And I hope that Jessica today walks away with this as well, that she is powerful the way she is right now, and that she can press that button. And once she gets to where she wants to get, that she'll say the same thing to someone else. And I think everyone in that room should do as well.
All right then.
And
First of all, I don't know if any of you all will reflect back to when you were 20 or 23 or 17 and 18, and if you had a sense of agency and composure, right, and reflection and understanding of the importance, that you would have spoke as eloquently as the three young people on this panel. And if you wouldn't have, that means, and think about where you are now, they're going to be a lot farther than you. And 1,000 places farther than me. I mean, it's just, let's be clear. So I would never leave a panel before just shouting out people who are doing this work really aggressively on the UChicago charter side. So Mike Lockenbach and Mrs. Bada, our high school campus director and our assistant director, trying to make this work happen. And Landon Jones, our chief alumni officer, trying to keep track with 600 alumni in college. It's hard work. Alex, great work on this kickoff today, and UEI team, thank you. And just and consortium folks, thank you for bringing the data that just speaks truth. Obviously, we've gone from 8 to 18, and that's a big deal. I'm a South Sider, and we know what people think about the South Side of Chicago. And so the fact that we're changing numbers, about to catch the National Ave and then hopefully exceed it, is what we should do on the South Side. So thank you everybody for being here, and great job today. Great work.
thank you.
Sorry, I just have one more thing to say.
We got one more, people.
One more. I was advised. To the president of University of Chicago, I don't know where he is right now, but if he is in this room, I really hope to see you at your campus next fall.
Oh, yes. Well played.
Nice.
That's what you were supposed to do. That's what you were supposed to do. Excellent job. Excellent job.